Hey guys, what's going on? Absolutely Beast bringing you guys a video today. So, at the time of recording my video yesterday, they had not released a new list of cars yet. So now they have, and I'm bringing you the video just so we can get going on that. So, I'm just going to get right into it. There's an article on ForzaMotorsport.net, Garage Week 4. I'll link it in the description, but they basically just talk about Forza Vista, which is where you can get out of the car and look around and see. Open the doors, open the hood, open the bonnet, open the trunk, all that kind of stuff. And so they talk about two cars in specific, the Ford GT and the Subaru 22B, the Impreza 22B STI. Both legendary cars. The 22B STI, there's like less than 5 in the United States, and they're extremely rare. So they actually sent their team halfway around the world to model that engine of a completely stock, completely factory with all the factory stickers and zero modifications car. They got to modify, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, and then the Forza and the Ford GT, obviously, they talk about the Forza Vista and being able to be in the engine bay. And they basically talk about, not only are you going to be able to do that in their pre-made environments, like your home, like your garage and all that in the game, but also standing race side while you're waiting for the race to load, which is pretty cool, I think. So, anyway, then they do a brief little bit about the GT350R from Shelby, Ford Shelby. So yeah, I've got a little bit something to say about all these cars. I researched the heck out of these cars. I mean, I didn't realize there were over 100 until after I'd already done all the research on them. And I mean, it took me like an hour and a half to research all these cars and find pictures and find info on Wikipedia and stuff like that. So I hope you can appreciate that as we go through. Most of them, I'd say 75% of them, I have a little bit of something to say. Some of them I actually have forgotten, kind of, because there's over 100 and I didn't write anything down. So, take for it what you will, but I did my best here. So you've got a 1970, I'm just going to read through the list. You've got a 1970 AMC Rebel on the machine. You have an AMC Javelin AMX and an AMC Pacer X. So those are all AMC cars, American Motor Corporation. They don't exist anymore, obviously. They haven't for a while, but there's just sort of like muscle-y type cars. Now this was right at the start of the muscle era. That's like the real popular part of the muscle era. So as you hear a lot of these cars, a lot of them look very, very similar. So there's not really a ton of variance in these cars. Mainly it's just the engine and the badging and stuff. So you have a 1970 Buick GSX, perfect example of that. It looks pretty much like a muscle car from the early 70s. You might mistake it for a Chevelle or a Camaro or anything, any one of those. So yeah, then you have a 87 Buick Regal GNX. This is a legendary car, all blacked out, two-door Buick Regal. And they actually I didn't know this, but they actually tuned these in conjunction with McLaren. And these cars were extremely fast. This car was actually faster than the Ferrari F40 in a quarter mile, which is pretty ridiculous. Legendary, though. You have a 2011 Cadillac CT-SV Coupe, which has, when they first announced that car, it had the most powerful engine General Motors had ever produced. Now, it was also in the Corvette and stuff like that, so not anymore. But 2012 Cadillac Escalade ESV. It's kind of a short truck. So it's basically the Escalade SUV, but it's got this weird truck back type thing, and it looks kind of weird. It's the same as like a Chevy Avalanche or even a Honda Ridgeline. They have this weird short back. So you have a 2013 Cadillac XTS Limousine, which is so epic. You have a 2016, can't wait to drive that. 2016 Cadillac ATSV, a beautiful car. You have a 2016 Cadillac CTSV sedan, which is one of the most beautiful cars on the road. Definitely an American rival to like a BMW or a Mercedes. You have a 1970 Camaro Z28. That's sort of a performance package of the Camaro, sort of right when they started really exploding in popularity. They exploded about a year or two prior. 70 Chevelle Super Sport 454, which is the cubic inches of the engine. I was thinking this was like a 6 or 6.5 liter. It's a 7.4 liter engine, bro. That is one of the biggest things you could possibly imagine. I can't even believe that engine was in a car. So you have a 1970 Corvette ZR1. That's a C3 Corvette. Still a good-looking Corvette. I actually like those. I don't like the ones before or the ones after, but I actually do like the C3. So you have a 1970 Chevy El Camino Super Sport, also with a 454 7.4 liter, ridiculous engine. You got a 71 Chevy Vega GT. You've got a 79 Camaro Z28, which is sort of the next generation of Camaro. After the one that we just talked about, you have an 88 Chevy Monte Carlo Super Sport, which is pretty much like the Regal. In my opinion, it's like a two-door, kind of small little guy. You got a 70 Camaro IROC Z, which was their sort of like performance version. IROC stands for International Race of Champions. It was just sort of like a racing stuff. You got a 95 Corvette ZR1. That was right before they changed to the C5 model year. or C5 body style, which have been in '96. And then you have an '02 Camaro 35th Anniversary Super Sport, one of the last years they made Camaros. Nothing really too special about the Super Sport. A spoiler and a couple of other things, but special badging, special seats, and like special pinstriping and stuff because it was an anniversary edition. So you have an '02 Corvette Z06 that replaced the ZR1 as a performance version of the Corvette. That was the first year they did that. It made like 400 horsepower. Pretty beastly car. Upgraded brakes, all that kind of stuff. You have an '09 Corvette ZR1, which goes back to replacing the Z06. That was a 6.2 liter supercharged V8. Kind of a big deal when that car came out. You had a 2012 Camaro ZL1, which is a Camaro with that 6.2 liter supercharged engine in it, Corvette engine. You got a 2014 Chevy Super Sport, which fits right between the Chevy Malibu and the Chevy Impala, as a four-door sedan with a big 400 horsepower V8 in it. You've got a 2015 Corvette Z06, which is again returns to the Z06 nomenclature and has a supercharged engine on it, which is really cool. You've got a 2016 Camaro Super Sport, Chevy SS Camaro. You've got a 2017 Camaro ZL1, which is the new ZL1, has an optional 10-speed automatic, which Chevy actually developed in conjunction with Ford. Here I was just getting frustrated at that truck and I ended up flipping my truck. You have a '72 Chrysler VH Valiant Charger RT E49. Man, that's a mouthful. Very similar to the Dodge Charger. Chrysler and Dodge are pretty similar. And it looks, again, most of those muscle cars look pretty similar. So 2012 Chrysler 300 SRT8, that's a four-door Chrysler. That's a beautiful car. It's a little more luxury version of like a Dodge, so it's kind of like a Dodge Charger, but you know, a little bit nicer, a little more luxurious. You got the Dodge Challenger, RT from 1970, one of the most legendary muscle cars of all time. Big old boy with a big back. Got a 1970 Dodge Coronet Super B, which is a smaller version. That was their entry-level muscle car. And the Super B had a special pinstriping and actual B painted on it, which was cool. So you had an '86 Dodge Shelby Omni GLHS, which actually stands for Goes Like Hell Some More. There's an upgraded version of the already upgraded GLH Dodge Shelby Omni. You got a '99 Dodge Viper GTS ACR. First year they offered the ACR and GTS, which was awesome. And the Viper, just an aero pack. You got an '05 Dodge SRT4 ACR, which just an aero pack, stiffer springs, wider tires, you know, that kind of stuff. You have a '08 Dodge Viper SRT10 ACR, which has the aero pack and the more powerful engine. You've got the 2012 Dodge Challenger SRT8 392, which is a 6.2 liter big engine. You got the Dodge Charger SRT8, which is the four-door longer version, you know, saloon cars for those of you that are not in the United States, but SRT8 was the big one. You got a 2013 Dodge Dart GT, which is a successor to the Dodge SRT4, successor to the Dodge Neon. You've got a 2015 Challenger SRT Hellcat, which is a legendary car, very popular car, 700 plus horsepower, supercharged, just a big deal. You got a 2016 Viper ACR, which actually has the highest downforce of any production car ever made, at least as of that time, with almost 1,750 pounds of downforce, which is absolutely crazy. Got a 1998 Eagle Talon TSI Turbo. That is a carbon copy of the Mitsubishi Eclipse. It was just a rip-off of that. That was produced here in the United States. I don't know if it was elsewhere. Got a 1956 Ford F100, which is actually the truck I'm just passing right there. I talk about timing. The predecessor to the F-150. 1971 Ford Falcon, the XY GT HO Phase 3. This is a four-door V8 supercar that actually won the Bathurst 500 in 1971. You got a Ford Mustang Mach 1, which has a big hood with a kind of a ram air type thing and a little more power, a little different looking, only sold in fastback. You have a 72 Ford Falcon XA GT HO, again, very similar to the first Falcon, you know, sort of a four-door like supercar. You got a 73 Ford Capri RS 3100, 73 Ford Escort RS 1600. You got another Falcon, the XB Falcon GT from '73. Again, similar to those other Falcons, a little bit different, you know, trim and power though. You got a 1975 Ford Bronco, which is a big SUV. You got a 77 Ford Escort RS 1800. You got a Ford Mustang II, which was a short-lived Mustang that didn't last very long because it was kind of weird looking. But the King Cobra version of that. You've got an 81 Ford Fiesta XR2. You've got a 85 Ford RS 200 Evolution. You've got a 1987 Ford Sierra Cosworth RS 500, which was developed in conjunction with Cosworth as far as the engine is concerned. Same with the 92 Ford Escort RS Cosworth. You've got a 92 Ford Falcon GT, which was the 25th anniversary of the Falcon. So they brought that. Back. It hadn't been around for about 10 years. You have a 93 Ford SVT Cobra R. So this was a Fox body Mustang right before they changed the model year in 94. And they were actually surprised. The Cobra existed, but the Cobra R was a stripped out version. No air conditioning, no power seats, no power windows, all kinds of stuff like that. And it actually sold much better than they thought. They only made like 250 of them. And so they brought it back in 95 after they redid the body style, and they brought the same thing back in 95. And then they brought it back again in 2000 with a more powerful engine, a bigger engine, and a spoiler and some other stuff, some Brembo brakes and stuff. So then you had an 03 Focus RS. You have an 05 Ford GT, which was made to commemorate the Ford GT40, which was in the late 60s that beat Ferrari at Le Mans a couple times. You have an 09 Focus RS. You have an 07 Shelby GT500. You have a 2010 Ford Crown Vic Victoria Police Interceptor, which here in the United States, most police cars, at least up until recently, have been that, the Ford Crown Vic. Now they're starting to be a lot more Chargers. But yeah, so 2011 Ford F-150 SVT Raptor. Legendary truck. I was just driving that actually, previous race. 2011 Ford Transit Super Sport van, which is going to be so cool to drive. I can't wait to drive that. You got a Ford F-150 SVT Raptor by Shelby. Couldn't really find much information as far as specs or anything on that, but it's a special version tuned by Shelby. You have a 2013 Shelby GT500, one of the last years they made the GT500, the big block. Got a 14 Ford Fiesta ST. Got a 14 Ford FPV Limited Edition Pursuit Ute, which is sort of like a half truck, half car. Not here in the U.S. You've got a couple more Falcons, a Falcon GTF 351 and a Falcon XR8. The V8 supercars that you can see in like the Bathurst races and stuff. You've got a 2015 Ford Mustang GT. You've got a 2016 Shelby GT350R. Plenty of reviews on YouTube. Jay Leno's Garage has a good one, and Smoking Tire has a good one about those cars where they talk pretty in depth about them. Really good car. 2017 F-150 Raptor, 2017 Focus RS, 2017 Ford GT, which we all know about. Beautiful, beautiful car. 1983 GMC Vandura G1500. So this was actually what was made famous by the A-Team, which is a pretty cool van, epic van. 06 Hummer H1 Alpha. I drove one of those in my video the other day. Big, humongous, ridiculous car. You got a 70 International Scout 800A, one of the weirdest cars I saw on this list. Very strange car. I don't even really know how to explain it. Just weird car. You have a 76 Jeep CJ5 Renegade, which is basically a Jeep Wrangler. You have a 91 Jeep Grand Wagoneer, which is the wooden Jeep, which is awesome. You have an 09 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8. You have a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon from 2012, which is a long wheelbase version of the Wrangler. You've got a 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT, got a 2016 Jeep Trailcat, which you couldn't find anything on, but it is in Forza Horizon 3. You got a Local Motors Rally Fighter, which is in Fast and the Furious, Transformers. It's a future. It almost looks like a Warthog from Halo. You got a 1970 Mercury Cougar Eliminator. You got a 71 Myers Manx, which is a dune buggy, a kit car dune buggy. 2011 Penhall T'Challa. Don't remember that. You got a Polaris RZR, which is a little mini four-door thing. You got a Trans Am from 77. You got a Hemi Cuda from Plymouth. You got a GTX from Plymouth. You got a 2000 Plymouth Prowler, which looks like a 30s car. You got Trans Ams all the way up from 73, 87, 02. And then you've got a Pontiac G8, which is a four-door, basically the same as a Chevy SS or the Holden Monero, or not Holden Monero, VF Commodore. You've got an 09 Solstice GP. You've got a Ram Runner, which is an off-road Ram, and you've got an SRT Viper GTS from 2013. Guys, I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped. So pumped for Forza 7. I'm going to know all these cars by heart. Thank you guys. Make sure you subscribe and check out my stuff. Thank you. 3 takes. Woo!